Greetings and welcome back to my channel. Now, listen, this episode was so exciting because guess what? My heart went out to our girl Sabrina. She is out of the belly of the beast. Now, meanwhile, we see the prosecutor is plotting with Maurice so they can just throw everything on our girl and spring Maurice out. Please don't break, bruh. Hold on until we resolve this issue. And let me tell you something. When our girl came out, boy, did she sock it to Q. Calvin needed our girl to get out the whole time because it brought really the man out of old boy because he was whooping that tail. And our girl Karen, whoo, she got the results. Now tell the truth, Karen. Who's the daddy? Let's get into it. Greetings and welcome back to my channel. Now, where we left off last week, we had Andi coming in to, burn some, get some fire going with Gary. And when she walks in, she sees that Robin is there with him. And he's looking at her like, why is he here? She looking at him like, why you let this man in my house? So Gary said, he was downstairs in the lobby. He said he had something important, even though it was late at night. He needed to talk to you. So he took it upon himself to let her up, and he was like, yeah, I have something important to tell you about what we discussed earlier. So she's basically telling Gary to excuse himself. Now, old boy was not hearing that, and he was like, yeah, this is important. It's between me and you. So I really don't want him into this, and I don't know how much Gary knows, but he's about professionalism and being discreet. And he's doing business with Gary, and he knows the situation between them two, but he doesn't want these two to him to be a part of this because discretion is key. So Gary like, you really want me to leave? And she like, yeah, please. So he goes in the room, and she sits down to find out what's going on. Now, he told her this is about the situation with your friend, and I may be able to help you, which was very big of Gary. Now, all that shade she been giving him and that attitude earlier, she need to be happy that he took it upon himself to even come there, even though it's late. And we know he's still coming for Andi. He still wants her. He wants to apologize for how he treated her before. He really likes her. But at the same time, she's not trying to hear it. She's been sucked back in by the bug of Gary. So he was like, whatever this, I may have somebody to help you, but this favor is going to come at a cost. And I'm like, oh my God. This is her sister. Of course, she'll do whatever to get Sabrina out. But the hefty price is $3 million. And it's like, yikes. Are you serious? She was like, money is not an issue. I'll get it done. He told her the amount, and she was like, wow. He was like, can you get your hands on this? And she's like, well, I don't have all of it. I may be able to get half. Now, $1.5 million, I don't, you must be doing real good at the firm, Andi. I don't know this kind of money you'll be able to post. But for him to sit up there and post $1.5 million for you is a lot to be said, too, for someone who hasn't known you that long. So now he leaves, and, Gary's waiting for her. And, of course, they about to do their little thing. But I think, Andi really needs to look at the great favor that Robin is doing for her. Regardless of their past, this is a lot to ask from someone, even if they're your boss and you've been intimately involved. So she needs to appreciate that. So now we have our girl, Dani, waking up to Preston, and, they didn't do anything. She just basically wanted that time with him, probably just to cuddle and cuff and just, really somebody to calm her spirit down. And he did that. And he was like, she tried to be all discreet under the covers. He was like, why you not trying to let me see? Like, I've seen all that before. Remember Love Jones when Darius tried to tell Nina, like, I've seen it all, like, come on, literally. So what's up? And so, yeah, she was like, I want a little discretion. I guess she want that little misery trying to start over. But, he just, let her know that the time that they spent together. In this scene, it just really made me realize how much Dani feels for him, how much she really needed Preston's comfort in that moment, how much he appreciates really and honors her. And, they made their little jokes and everything, but, you know, she wanted him to go, and she said, really, like, you don't want me to go. But she was like, no, you can stay. And I know she's conflicted about the whole situation, especially with what she had experienced there. But Preston right there really wanted to be her her consoler and really be there. And I think he senses something wrong, but I'm waiting for her to get into what happened with her with that assault. Put in the comments and let me know if you think she should tell Preston what happened to her, and if you think that she will. I'm just glad he was there for her. Now, here is Zach and Fatima talking the next morning, and he's stressing about the situation, but he says, he has an attorney he's going to see about this whole child support issue and the situation with Karen and Heather. And he brought up to Fatima that situation with the ring, and she was like, well, right now, what she really, don't want to do is piss Karen off even more because of what's, going on with the paternity. And, especially in light of them having that meeting and everything with her mom, we should hold off for a minute. And when the dust settles, I'll put my ring on. But I'm committed, so don't worry about that. I just want us to handle this situation when it comes to, Heather suing and Karen finding out the paternity. This is a lot for her to go through. And I think Zach needs to understand even though we engage, there has to be baby steps to them because there's a lot put on Fatima as well. Now, back at the house, speaking of Karen, here we have her and, of course, Aaron. They're there waking up the next morning. And I think this was a very endearing moment between the two of them. Did you notice that when he said he loved her and she said she loved him? And, she's preparing to go to the doctors. Of course, Aaron always finding a way to try to make himself available for that appointment. And I don't blame him. He want to be there to hear from himself that this is my baby. But of course, she's gonna be there with her girls. And did you check out the outfit? I really was feeling, I don't know if this is a top, dress, or whatever that Karen has on, but this was some real nice style. Whoever styled her for this scene really was good. So yeah, she was talking about her situation with the whole paternity thing, and going to find out what the situation is, and telling her he's gonna basically go and he's gonna be there to wait. And Aaron, we are waiting there with you to find out what the deal is, and I am really hoping that you are the father. So here they had that little sweet kiss, and she actually said she loved him too. Do you really think Karen, deep down inside does love Aaron or falling in love with him even though she's scared? I think so. I think those feelings are starting to surface, what he's proven to her so far. So now Andi is here talking to Karen and letting her know that she's going to be there later. And she's working, of course, with the situation with Sabrina. She wants her to reach out to her as soon as possible with that. And, Gary's in the shower. So, they dealing with their night after, I guess. And Gary really doesn't feel that he's as anything to be threatened about when it comes to Robin, because he feels he has that on lock. And he also mentions to her how he's not worried about it because, of what he's plotting in the office. He really so much didn't give all the details, but that little hostile takeover, he kind of, mentioned that a little. So that's in the back of Andy's mind. Like, what is he going to do as far as taking over the company? Put in the comments, what do you think about that situation? Do I think that's straight up foul? Andi needs to warn Robin. Should she stay out of it? Is this going to be a detriment to her position in the company if something happens with Robin? This dynamic is really sticky and really ugly, and Gary and Andi need to watch how they both play the position on that when it comes to Robin. Now, Karen comes to the shop and, Pam is there. And of course, she was already nervous about the night before, making sure she had everything on lock. And she was like, hey, girl, how you doing? You here? And she's like, what is going on? And she happens to see that she left those curlers on or just unplugged those curtains. She said, you had that on. You going to have me, look like she about to smack her here, right? You going to have me, burn my place down. Like, this is my pride and joy. And, Pam got to respect that. So she was like, I know. She said, I'm going to tell your mama, though. She said, I'm going to tell your mama you about to burn my place down. So, Pam, you are in no position to sit up there and threaten her with her mama. So now you have Karen getting on the phone to find out what's the situation with Sabrina, and Andi and Dani are at the court. Dani tells her that Andi is in there now with the prosecutor, I guess, and the judge trying to work this magic and seeing what Robin did as far as getting her out. So she was like, definitely keep me posted. So, Andi comes back out and the prosecutor was like, I don't know how you did it, but he knows that she has some serious pull. So now his whole thing in the back of his mind is, Andi has these connections. I know she's smart and brilliant because she really, socked it to me when it came to my wife. But like she told him, be professional about this. Me and your wife's divorce case has nothing to do with this criminal case against my friend. So, yeah, Dani's like, he got a bad attitude. And she's like, yeah, I agree. So they was like wondering like, okay, what's the situation? We're going to wait and see when it comes to Sabrina. And they waiting for her to come out. Now, in the meantime, this prosecutor knows now that Andi has a situation with, looking out for Sabrina. So his whole motive now is to pull the card for Maurice. So this is what he's doing. He's going to talk to Maurice about throwing Sabrina under the bus. And he's like, well, what's the deal? Why am I here? And he's like, listen, we have you confessing the crime for you and Sabrina on this tape. And he was like, you can obviously tell that I was joking, which is what I said. It's make it make sense. This whole thing sounds like, comedy. And he's like, nobody could possibly believe that. He was like, well, convince a judge. So he was like, well, what you can do, I don't want you. I know you had nothing to do with this crime. Well, he was like, if you know that, then why what am I in here? Like, why am I in here? Get me out. And he was like, we want your friend. We want Sabrina. Slipped my mind what Sabrina's last name is. But we want her. We don't want you. He's basically like, F you. I'm not doing that to my friend. He was like, well, be happy in here for 30 years. So now he was like, you can't do that to me. And he's basically like, watch me. So now he's threatening him where you're going to take the fall for this if you don't sell out Sabrina. And he was like, I'm sorry, but this is something that I'm not going to do. I really hope this really unfolds and the situation with Q and all that is rectified before Maurice has to cave in. I hope he doesn't. Now you have Dani on the phone. Andi on the phone with Karen, letting her know that we're waiting now for Sabrina to come out. She comes out, they hugs her. I was like nearly in tears. I'm like, these are my girls. I like get like emotionally so invested in this show. And so they hugging her, and it was such a warm and tender moment. And I'm like, oh, they got my sister out. I just love Sabrina, so I'm glad she got out of this mess. Karen was like, how you feeling? She was like, I just want to get myself together, just shower and change or whatever before, they meet up again. But she said, I love you, and I'm just, glad that you out. And she says, thank you so much. And, basically doing their fond adieus. And so, they letting her know that, everything is solved for now, but she's still scared. Like, how long is this gonna last? Am I gonna have to go back in there? It's scary. So I could understand her being nervous, wondering, even though I'm out on bail, will I be back in that hellhole? So now, in the meantime, Zach is going to this lawyer, which is one of the craziest scenes when it comes to law and order. I don't know how it works in the state of Georgia, but this lawyer, Zach, is really nervous, letting her know about the situation. When I, met this woman, I guess found out I got a 3-year-old son, and my ex, now I'm waiting on that situation. I might be the father again. So she's basically telling Zach that yes, she had these cases, and they can sue him for 50%. And he was like, you got to be kidding. And I'm like, wait a minute. That's not how child support works. A woman cannot get you 50%. And then the other baby mother come and get the other 50% and leave you with a man with absolutely zero. Or the woman, if the case was in reverse. It doesn't work like that. I don't think even in the state of Georgia. But this is the advice she's giving him. And he's basically scared, like, oh my God, well, what is this going to cost you? Like, how much for you, I guess, to represent me in this? And he said, well, Bryce didn't tell you how much it costs. She is expensive, but she'll cut him a break. And he's like, thank you so much. Oh, it's hot in here. Do you feel hot? She was like, no. He was like, it's hot. I need to get out of here. And I also need to go get some more money. And she's like, oh my God, this guy. But I'm like, no, they have to consider what the child's mother is making. I've went through this in my divorce, and that's not how it goes. You will not lose 50%, Zach. So don't worry about that. I'm really waiting to see how this goes. So now they're home, bringing Sabrina in to settle, and there's nothing like being in your own place after being out of that traumatic experience. So they said, we'll get back, with you. We're going to meet Karen at the doctor's, and we'll stay put. So in the meantime, she's calling Calvin. And Calvin, they talk, and they know that Q is behind all this, but she didn't know that Q was still there. And he's like, what? She's like, what? And he was like, yeah, he's there. And she's like, wait a minute, I'll meet you over there. Like, are you crazy? And I don't blame you, Sabrina. Handle that, because that is insane. So now they are at the doctor's office waiting for Karen's results. What we have been waiting for all season. Dum, da, dum, dum. So they there like with bells on. Dani whole situation. And of course, Andi trying to be all optimistic. And so they like wondering. Now the doctor comes in and she tells her, okay, doc, what's the deal? And she said, well, I have the results. Now the doctor goes on to explain that, everything is not like totally 100% in these cases, but I'm pretty sure that with this, we can narrow down the date of conception. So she said, based on your last period, what have you, it's the 12th that you got pregnant. And so Karen's like, okay, so this wasn't the 19th. And she said, no, I'm pretty sure it was the 12th. So now you have that week period. So they're wondering now, looking at Karen, okay, now who basically did you sleep with first? Was it Aaron or was it Zach? Now that look on her face, I don't know if that's a look of relief. Oh, I'm so happy. Now when they had that last meeting, she told Zach, I don't think I can live with being with you in my life every single day. So maybe she relieved that she don't have to deal with him like that every single day. And he's in a relationship that she don't want to deal with. But they want to know, what is it? Or is it Aaron? And maybe that's a sign of relief that, oh, Aaron was right. I'm so happy. I looked at this wrong from the door, and maybe it is Aaron's. I don't know. We'll find out. I cannot wait until we do. Now, here you have this scumbucket Q. And he's popping junk as always. Calvin basically saying, you are garbage. Why are you here? Why don't you leave? And he's up there eating like he owns the place and paying top dollar rent. And so in walks Sabrina. Because, I'm like, Calvin, you could have been did this. Even if you had to get your own place, you should have whooped this man behind, or at least called the cops to get him out, and you find another place. Because to say that you could not do nothing and have this man constantly changing locks on a place, your landlord, without your landlord knowing why you're doing this, that doesn't make sense in and of itself. But Sabrina's pissed off and she says, what are you doing here? I know you set me up. He basically admitted the whole thing, which they should have had a recorder at this point. Put in the comments what you think about this. They should have been prepared to hear him confess and bring that to the judge. So they're like, no. She like, you gonna have to get out of here. She snatched the phone away like the bowl away like, I'm totally sick of you with this crap, because he's getting disrespectful, calling her out of name. And she said, you're gonna have to basically get your ass out of here. You need to leave. So Calvin's looking, I'm like dumbfounded as usual. You should have been a man and stepped up to this behind and get him out of your friend's place. Even if both of you had to go, he had no business there when he had your girl in jail. that you claim you love, but she was sick of it. She told him he's been stealing and what he's been doing, stole my father's golf clubs. Sabrina went over there and grabbed that whatever club I guess he had left and whacked his behind with it. And he basically was like, you beat, and was going to fight Sabrina. And that's when Calvin stepped up like a man, took that club back, and beat the crap out of him. And I'm like, it took Sabrina, my girl, to get out of jail and step to Calvin herself and whoop his behind himself, or at least attempt to, for Calvin to step up and handle this man and let him know you not his little bee or punk for him to play with. And Calvin was going on. I'm like, that shows what love can do to move you, because he truly cares about Sabrina, because he stepped up to handle her honor. Go ahead, Calvin. It's about time, bruh. Now, what is going to happen with Calvin now? Is he finally leaving the apartment? Are they dragging him out? Don't worry about him reporting anything or pressing any charges, you guys, because he already know he's in hot water. So I wouldn't even worry about that part. And Sabrina, I won't have to worry about an extra, charge like assault on your back as well. Yeah, now, as far as Karen, girl, are you going to tell the truth to your girls, or are you going to tell the truth to these men and let them know who's the daddy? I cannot wait to find out. Is Maurice going to cave in with this prosecutor? Maurice, don't do that to your girl. Don't do that to yourself. Hold on. The truth will prevail. Until next time, family, be authentically you. Have a happy new year. Thank you, subscribers, for an amazing 2022. Thank you for all your support. May we continue to support one another in 2023. Hope I get new family and subscribers and bring you awesome content. Love you all. Peace and blessings. Have a great new year. Peace.